Monsoir, ETH Ledger.
Yo.
How's it hanging?
Good, man. I'm glad it's Friday.
Oh, yeah. Saturday if you're in Australia.
It's Tuesday here in Alabama.
You just
10 a.m.
It's Tuesday here in Alabama. Serious.
You'll always be on that, John. Let's be
I wonder,
honest.
what time does your schedule start now?
Mate, to be honest, my body clock is a little bit just the last kind of week I've been waking up about 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
No. It's been later. It's been much later. We've been waking up later, Cody. That's the issue.
No way.
Getting less time out of them. I've been witnessing it.
Well, I just feel
like everyone should know.
I just feel like it's always, he's like always around. Like he's always,
I know.
he's out there.
It's the most random times. I'm like, dude, how is this guy up right now? Like, what the
Because it's
frig?
like,
How is it?
you'll ask me for things at like midnight, 1 o'clock, and I'm like, I want to do this so bad right now, but it's 1 o'clock.
Well, the way I roll, Cody, as you know, is I literally just throw
as soon as you have the idea.
Yeah, I'll just get it out there. I kind of structure it, get it across, and it's kind of boom. There you go. I've kind of I've assigned.
It'll be there when you get to it.
I kind of dropped ownership of that one now. It's like, there you go. I've kind of redirected that one. That's now someone else's kind of agenda item. So that's the way I kind of roll with a lot of stuff.
More importantly, that we're a DAO.
Now that we're a DAO, congratulations, guys. You guys are part of one of the first DAOs in the entire planet.
So I actually looked into it, and, I could very well be wrong, but the only people that quote unquote beat us, none of them have an actual DAO yet. They're all just concepts, or they're all initial filings. So there's nobody else that did a transfer.
We're the first global DAO.
Well, we're the first DAO that has anybody in it. We're the only DAO that has people in it and is legally friggin' recognized, or has more than 2 people in it. I should
legally recognized DAO with members.
Yeah.
The first legally recognized operating DAO.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's how I worded it.
The first DAO with people living in it.
There you go.
Living inside of the building. Inside. Some guy was trying to, that guy on Twitter was trying to buy land over there. Cody, it's time to start sending it. Dude, you just got to play. You're like, I don't want to get a place in Providence. I'm saying to myself, why are you moving to Wyoming? Dude? Like, you have to move anyways. Jeez.
I should have moved to Wyoming.
Yeah.
Well, it's the place I wanted. Because so Britton and I were like looking at cherry picking a district, to run a senator. And Jackson Hole, Wyoming was the best place to go. And then I was looking at property over there. Is like $1 million minimum. So I'm like, I can't afford that. Jackson Hole is like the nicest.
Yeah, I was gonna say you picked the nicest place in the entire. It's like the only one of 2 places I know about.
So that was and it's because that was the best place to put a representative in. It would have been the easiest to get the senatorship there.
Yeah,
that'd be a great place to have a senator.
That's a good point.
So we can run an election for 38 grand in Wyoming.
Huh.
It's even cheaper in Idaho. Yeah. So salutations, folks. We're get this started underway. Of course, everybody knows we are now a DAO. We're pretty excited about that. There's a lot of we launched the Gleam campaign. I won't go too much into that myself personally. We're kicking off here, getting things underway as the first DAO with members in it. And as you can see behind me, my room is empty. So this will be my last DeFi Friday at this current residence. In fact, pretty much the whole room is empty. And the only reason my desk is still here is because of DeFi Friday. So wanted to get you guys kind of into the flow of what we got going on over here. Probably start John with some of maybe the analytical things going on with the Gleam campaign. If you feel
So Yeah, so with the Gleam campaign, I mean, Sidewinder can weigh in on some of this as well, better than I can. So I'm looking at it from the total website perspective at the moment. So like for instance, today we've had 667 page views, 497 uniques. Pretty much 63% of people hang around for like 8 minutes or more in some cases. So, or in most cases, I should say. So, yeah, things are looking good from in that perspective. People are spending more time in the blogs. Most people jump around and read like 2 articles for a few minutes each, at least before jumping off. So, all these things are positive signs. As far as the type form, I know we have like 25 answers on that. Now, keep in mind, you would have to be fully biometrically authenticated to do that. So therefore, we expect that will scale up. But as far as the Gleam itself, I think Sidewinder is probably the best to give the deets on that.
Is that are you finishing your update, John, or is that you done? Did you want to touch base on any of the SEO stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, I was just talking in a linear flow here. But as far as other stuff that I have going on at the moment, primarily what I've really been working on, ongoing has been this really big SEO / marketing push for, the POC and now for our DAO ship, if you will. So we did push out some marketing stuff. It's picked up by 200, let's say about 250 local media places or around the net. About half of those were like local news. Some of them were in Wyoming. Some of them were in Cali because that's where our PO box is out of. There was a bunch of different locations there, so we get a lot of value out of that. Get a lot of backlinks. Get a lot of traffic from that as well, etc. Also did we're doing ongoing stuff with the Hoth, getting a lot of tags in place as well as analytics fully set up. So analytics is officially fully set up on all Governor platforms, with the exception of the forums, which no one really cares about at the moment. But that is for governance only anyways, so no need for analytics there. Everything else though is fully tracked and optimized. So that's really good to be in a position to kind of just push forward. Now we have a set way for posting and for getting our information out there. And, that was seen already via the blog post that we made yesterday, which later got pushed from our site first. You saw it first 24 hours before, then that got pushed to media, the following morning. And that's, pretty much how it works. So no matter what, you guys generally will have a glance at any breaking news at least a couple hours, usually before other people, if you're paying attention. So that's a pretty cool feature. Besides that, like I said, really just getting involved with this Gleam campaign and this push in every way possible. Mostly been dealing on the blogs, but at this point, really anything that I can do to get the word out there. We also reached out to a lot of bloggers, influencers, and mostly crypto news, fronts. But I did have some influencers and some other people that I'd gotten contact details for. So I did fire off individual emails yesterday for that. As usual, generally, we get nothing that picks up on that, even with extremely well-written content, etc. So not exactly sure is what the deal there. I was also told by the Hoth that for something like this, it might take a few days for it to kind of reciprocate around the net. Because we're not like this, huge company. We're not Walmart. We didn't just become the first DAO as Walmart. If that was the case, we'd be huge. Because of our size, it might take a little bit longer. So otherwise, that's really what I'm working on, trying to get us to trend and get the word out there in any way possible. Also working on, any integrational stuff that I can help out with, as well as just general keeping the lights on stuff with the remainder of the team. So with that being said, I am done.
Cool. Great. Thanks for that update. Very informative, John. Thank you. So, okay, so basically, just to expand, if just to keep the momentum going on the Gleam campaign, so we've got 264 entries so far. It's going to run for 19 days. I'd say 19 days. It's probably more 20 if you take consideration the time zone aspect of the situation. So we've got a breakdown. I put it in the chat in regards to the breakdown of the different entries, but in summary, we got kind of 40 initial entries in regards to just jumping in there. We got sign up on the team updates and progress 38. We got authenticated proof of existence. We got 23, and Twitter updates 17, and then we got the type form survey, which is 17, and then the catchphrase. We've got 16, and lastly, we've got share the campaign with friends. We've only got one, which is a bit strange. I mean, it's.
I'm thinking that's probably because when you
Yeah.
send the tweet isn't a share the same way the invite is a share. So in order to get, there'd have to be some sort of API that like inputs their own share link in order to do the tweet. But I don't think that's something that's in our wheelhouse.
Well, no. So if they share it directly from the hub, that's what it is. So, right. So let's clarify here. So we updated the tweet that was automatically set out to not go to the authentication page anymore, but to go to the Gleam campaign. So that when people tweet, it creates that tweet storm that continuously goes. So now we're not, kind of meandering around with, the sending people to an authentication page they can't use, right? So we fixed that part. The part where people can social share, that's from directly within the platform. If you go on the platform main page, you can share that.
It's a different link.
You can share that with the links directly on the bottom though. So, I mean, you can share it on Twitter, however, it literally says share this and it pops up. So when you go to that, that portion, it gives you the options of the platforms to post on. You just click on those individual buttons to post. It will share to those platforms and give you credit for it. So that does track it internally. It is not the step where you're sharing the tweet though that performs that. It's a completely different step. So people will need to, actually be authenticated with Gleam with one of their social media accounts, and then when they share from there, then they'll get the credit.
That's exactly right. So it is kind of a delay in that strategy, because obviously you could share it with 100 people, but if only one of those people actually enroll in the campaign, they only get that credit for the one rather than 100. So that's probably a misunderstanding sometimes with people saying I shared it with so many people, but I didn't get those credits, those entries, right? So that's the way it works. It's only if they sign up with that link that they actually get the credit.
Yeah. So that's the case also, like I said, because, sometimes people do get confused on the aspect of, the social share part. It's the last portion of it. I mean, I think we've all used Gleam enough by now, or at least most of us, where, you realize that you should have to click those buttons at the end again in order to share it. But, if you didn't know, now you do.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, just to continue with that. So I will continue to promote social media, promote the campaign as well as other team members in social media throughout that duration. Been minting POE tokens throughout the campaign as well as people enroll, register, etc. We will be doing periodic snapshots of GDAO on mainnet, and then mint stroke burn on Rinkeby in order for people to be able to claim their NFTs. And so there will be a discrepancy between mainnet and Rinkeby until that happens. And also a lot of improvements to the POC experience, increased logging based on a number of different test cases which provide different experiences. For example, if you have audio and visual issues, previously it was sending it's failed, but now we have more of those test cases to provide more of a better user experience, to say there's insufficient lighting, no audio, or degradation of audio, etc. So that kind of helps out on that situation there to provide a more better experience, as I said. So that's good. Other priorities and action items. So yeah, we continue to build out the new blog experience on WordPress there. So that's definitely going to be something that is going to be more of a focus opposed to our website. So that's
Looks so good.
John, that's something that John has invested a lot of time and effort, and also as well, Taekwondo has been providing a lot of value in the cosmetics and the basics, the basic kind of, you know, day-to-day running of the WordPress in regards to the aesthetics of it all. So kudos to Taekwondo that's provided the color schemes, the formatting, etc. So we value his feedback in that space as well, and we will continue to help him out, build out those offerings. We've also integrated a support form so people can actually log any issues. That's been pinned in Telegram, so it's just a matter of filling out the form, and that will have a drop down of, you know, there's issues with the site, etc. It just provides an on-ramp to kind of for the team to accommodate that extra that extra support if users do experience any issues anyway. And also in addition to that, we do have a plug-in to the WordPress website, which is a live chat, which also can be utilized for login issues, etc. And there may be a team member on there to provide live help at some stage throughout the period of the day as well. So that's a good addition, just to kind of provide more exposure to the team when issues are experienced. So that's great. And also, yeah, been working through the Q3 proposal for for Q3, so payments, etc. So that will be available very soon to the community. Also been refining Azure reporting as well for Q3 to provide more increased visibility and for scheduling, and to align our critical path to ensure that we are investing efforts and resources in the right places to ensure that things are getting delivered in a timely fashion, and we're focusing our efforts in the right places as well. And also, what else is there? One of the items that come up as well with Britain being out in the field, asking people about the POC and future steps, is about who will own the data, etc. Who would potentially kind of look after the data as we scale out. So just quickly, I just got to follow up with Finovon. Finovon has advised that they are open to suggestion about who would kind of potentially own the data. There's a sovereignty and a security aspect to this situation. So just to provide more scalability and expand who would utilize these services, Finovon are open to options about companies and agencies actually administering their own database that would host those enrollments. So that's something that we will pad out a bit more in regards to those Q&As between gaps on what Finovon provides. Yeah, we need to pad out those questions in regards to where those gaps are. There's a number of questions around how that model will kind of scale out and considerations, and that's something that we're working on internally to provide that exposure to the community as well. So that's work in progress. And it's pretty much it, apart from, yeah, we're negotiating another developer as well, which will be onboarded, very shortly as well. So we will keep the team advised in regards to that process as well, and where we're at with that. So that's good, because we're always building out our team, and it's good to kind of hear that we're bringing on people just to kind of build out our services to ensure that we are delivering on a timely fashion as well. It's always good to bring on more resourcing as well. That pretty much covers my updates. Thanks for your time and patience.
Thank you. Oh, you got some
Let's
internet over there,
see.
Zane? How you doing?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, I'll keep it short. So where we're at with the proof of existence product, where we're at with pushing it through the Gleam campaign, my biggest thing is to make sure that we can have the other moving parts in place for when we're ready to push everything live, when we're ready to push the proof of existence to mainnet, start charging for it, start generating revenue, which means the governance vault needs to be live and in production. In order to do that, we need to run a public test. That's going to happen very soon. Everything's compiled, the front end's built, it's integrated, it all looks great, it works great. My to-do in order to get to the public test is to put together a user guide so that people know what they're doing, they know what the buttons do, they can more intuitively interact with the different moving parts so they can understand how it works, and then building out an incentive scheme around it that tracks wallet activity so we can pull, you do activity A, you get 1 entry, you do activity B, you get 2 entries, and then building out some kind of incentive structure similar to the Gleam campaign so that people who are engaging, they have an opportunity to win some prizes. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at for the next several days. That's something that we're going to be looking to push within the next, conservatively within the next 14 days. And then beyond that, I've been having some ongoing conversations about co-creating a product with the guys who made Hate, which more well known as the meme coin architecture that all the different dog coins on Binance chain use, where there's a tax on transaction, adds liquidity, looking to put together a product that we make together that will generate revenue, that will bring more interest to Governor, and that's something that we'll talk about more later. That's in the very early planning stages right now. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Very cool. I think that about wraps up the things we can talk about. Does anybody have any other comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? Well, we can, another mention on, we're trying to do some more shaping around what the OAS, the ownership as a service, and what the governance as a service, and how we can align that with other products that are reaching out to us and other companies that are interested in using these services, trying to figure out a way that we can best document this and best express it to them in a way that is not giving away all the keys, but also helping them get to where they want to be. Just finding a balance on that. We've had some interesting conversations with a lot of different individuals from multinational firms, and there's some really interesting things building behind the curtain, and really happy to see how things expand over the next quarter or two.
Yeah, I think that one of the most interesting aspects of all of that, people asked a lot about the security aspects and everything. And I think that, something that was really, not really a breakthrough per se, but a cool moment was when, Finavant, so that they were open to, hosting on site for, further, companies that we deal with or whatever. Obviously that's very new or whatever, and we haven't talked about it much. But I think that's an interesting thought point, just because, it does mean that just like how we kind of own our own data here, we don't hold it, but we own it, right? Companies could hold and own their own data, or one or the other, depending on whatever they wanted, as they want to use this tech. So, it would be that much easier for, if this was voting technology or whatever, for the feds to hold on to that, yet at the same time, they have no, readability of the data. So, that really, I think has streamlined for me that entire industry and how that could possibly look. Even talking with people in the insurance industry and all these other industries recently, it's really interesting to see how, the product here can really assist in the process of, signing up for insurance or all these other things. We can do it better than Esurance or Lemonade or, any of these other companies, and with less overhead and more automated, et cetera. Once again, this is something that, we're not even doing officially. It was just a side conversation, but it's just crazy to see all the applications that this tech has, and how important it is to build this out and get the POC out there, with the POE experience, so that people are able to experience some of the more mediocre uses, and we'll be showing you guys some of the more advanced uses, in the days to come, with some additional functionality that the whitelist and that the POC itself has built in. So that should be pretty cool.
Very exciting. And there's it's a really, really critical time in our building, I guess, of where we're setting out to go. And I think if we can just get the couple dominoes to start knocking up, we're going to see a cascade for, into infinity.
Yeah, man. And that's really, once again, like, this is the second DeFi Friday in a row where I'll say the same thing. No, never once have I really called upon the community for anything, but for the second week, I'll echo that. Hey, if you can share this content, whether it's the Gleam campaign, that you're getting incentivized to do, or just sharing the POC experience, whatever it may be, the authentication page, our content, our blog, any of this stuff, you're helping us out greatly, because the thing is that, a lot of people ask, oh, well, how can this be that, GDAO is all of this, it's all this in a bag of chips, and, it's sitting where it's at token price wise, as well as, adoption wise and user wise. Right. And it's like, well, there's a couple different schools of thought and answers on that. But regardless of, the direct answer, the inadvertent, answer to all those problems is that, okay, we need to get this in the public eye a little bit more, right? And get this kind of shared around crypto, Twitter, et cetera, for the more informed to pick up, and so that we can pick up adoption that way, et cetera. The most logical people to get involved are the people that are already in this space, right? So we have not tapped into that at all. We have 1,500 users out of approximately 3.6 million, they say. Probably more like 20. So there's just, the logic there is none. So we still have plenty to work in this industry within the crypto field, and getting people involved that are already users before we start trying to pull them out of the sky. So that's why we've really focused on the SEO SEM approach of search engine optimization. So when people are looking for DAOs, for instance, we went from like 77 to the top of page 2 now, right? So if you think logically, you've got Aragon, you've got insert DAO name here, you've got a lot of DAO stack, you've got a lot of things that still have websites that have existed for a long time, that have 6-7 years of existence in some cases, but yet we're still surpassing some of them on that list. So that's really what we're looking for, to get those more general approaches to getting out our face and our image out there. The tech, it kind of speaks for itself as far as the viability. The contracts speak for itself. They're all obviously open source and easy to look at. So all the pieces of the puzzle are here. It's all we got to do is really, quote unquote, not sell the product, because we even have that part taken care of to some extent. It's literally just getting the adoption now on this one part, so that we can roll out the full version of what's best for us next. And that's where the true viability really will shine. Because once again, when we are able to flip that switch and turn these POE live purchases into scalable funds that come directly back into the governance vault, that's really going to blow minds. That's going to be a industry first, in the sense that direct earnings coming right back in as well as, a first for multiple other reasons, that we're already displaying now, on testnet. So I really think that whatever people can do to get this out there, we really do appreciate. If you're looking for a way to quote unquote, lump your stack, then the best way to do it is to get out there and just share it. We don't show it, share it, right? We don't need to go out there and get anyone to believe in something that they otherwise don't want to, right? The tech speaks for itself. Everything speaks for itself. It's all there. It's on the blog. It's on the website, etc. Well documented. If they need to figure that out, then they have the resources too. And that's all we ask. So I just want to kind of throw that in quick, because I feel like that this is the time that, you can really do that more than ever, and we can see the most value out of it.
Well, the other key point really, John, is I think that what's probably is more undiscovered really, and probably just less insight in regards to the true potential of this, is that, that PoE,
They just don't get it.
That whitelisting, right, is, this is where you adopt, right? In the future, that's going to be there's going to be people, screaming to kind of get onto that list, right? But that's going to come at a price.
Yeah.
Because,
well, I mean, that's a way that we can even, that's a way that people are talking about, not circumventing, but being able to be quote unquote regulated while being completely unregulated, because there is that quote unquote KYC factor that exists but doesn't. I'm sorry, Sidewinder. Continue.
That's right. No, it's all good information as well. The key part here is that, we're trying to incentivize this. Once you're on that PoE list, and that whitelist is a product, people are going to be getting airdrops. There's going to be so much potential, and how that model builds out. And all you have to do is be on that whitelist. As simple as that. So it's like a no-brainer. As soon as you're on that list, your wallet's, you've got that PoE token, then you're set. That's you. So it speaks for itself.
Absolutely. And, a way that looks as well is that, keep in mind, we have been more in the development phases and technical phases of this. But, as me, Cody, someone else, in the outreach sector of this business to business sector, if I was to reach out to like airdrop alerts or one of these other, brands out there, or the direct IPO, ICOs, LGE situations, etc., and said, hey, listen, I've got a verified list of 1,000, 1,500, 5,000, 10,000 people, what do you want? Again, we can provide that service initially for proof of concept, just like we do with every single thing, free of charge the first whack, right? So we can find a good ICO to prove it with, or at least airdrop a token. We have a couple ideas on that that are floating around, possibly. So, showing that type of functionality. But hypothetically, if we were to go out there and just talk to any of these people in the industry, we would normally charge for this service, and we will charge for that service. But I mean, initially, we can use it as a perk factor only, so that, we could get in there and instead of charging, just say, hey, listen, here's our people, take care of them type thing. In the sense that these are all verified users. These are all verified single users, in the sense that you're individuals, not that you're not married. Sorry. And you'd be able to get a lot of value out of that. There's a lot more that goes with that. We can show, okay, users, quote unquote, in the US only. We don't know where you are, but if you interact with Coinbase US, for instance, right? We could single that down. You want users with more than $5,000, staged, ready to go in a stable coin, right? Okay, we can narrow it down to addresses that have that. So now these are unique addresses that have 5,000 USDC ready to go, and they interact with Coinbase US, and they're gonna all get airdropped, X amount of tokens, right? So not only are you getting paid on the front end when the whitelist is sold, right? Because now access to that whitelist is monetized. Whatever those funds are comes back in. 100% of that product that's fully owned by the DAO comes directly back in into the payment splitter, and is monetized, right? Which is buying GDAO at market as well as wrapping LP and doing other things. And then on the back end, those same people who, or a portion of the same people, the people that are PoE verified, not only did their funds just, theoretically not multiply, but pretty much multiply, but also on top of that, you go a step further by also allowing those people now to be the ones that are receiving these airdrops, etc. And it might go to all people, and might go to some based on some statistic, who knows, or criteria. But I mean, we'll see how that goes when we get there. But the use cases are endless with that whitelist. That's just one basic thing with the airdrop thing. So this whitelist could give you early access to platforms, betas, you name it. Because the thing is that the verification process of knowing that you're dealing with X unique people is a very unique thing in itself. Nowhere else in the industry can you pretty much get 1,000 people to test your product for very low cost or no cost, or the cost of incentivization only. Because in the industry right now, if we wanted to grab 1,000 people to test out the PoE experience, it probably costs us like literally $50K minimum. That's from experience in the field somewhat, probably 30 to 50K. And, to really do it the right way, and that would be with limited time, etc. We could do something similar just through, PoE users using a beta application on a platform. Platform gets the feedback it wants from unique users. And then at the same time, those unique users are taking care of XYZ by the platform, as well as, by the actual sale of the whitelist experience in the first place. So, you are winning no matter what. If you're a PoE holder, you can literally sit there as a PoE holder, with your GDAO and just continue to accumulate, which is something that is pretty much an industry first, in my opinion.
Very promising.
Yeah, some great coverage, John. It's very exciting to kind of just watch history kind of unfold slowly. And when that potential kind of kicks in and people realize that potential on that whitelist and the offerings, it's going to be mass adoption very quickly.
Proud of you guys.
Yeah, most certainly. This is this is one of those things that's going to have massive buy pressure, zero sell pressure. And that's just the truth.
Because the token is the buy pressure.
Well, there's that, and there's the fact that why the hell would you be selling a token that, in theory, moments after it, hypothetically, in the quote unquote GDAO Governor 2.0 future, X amount of time from now, not too far ahead, I should say, but sometime from now, you'll be sitting there. You could buy 1,000 GDAO at 8 a.m. You could verify with the PoE. You could do all this stuff, right? Let's assume that was zero cost for now, or mediocre cost, right? You get in there, you do these things, etc. You have your tokens in the governance vault, blah blah blah. You're existing, and within 24 hours. Assuming that there's live sales, etc., during that period, and the payment splitter has executed, right? Because it will execute based on a period, or amount of funds required in order to trigger it. There could literally be a systematic payout directly right there, and most likely will be at a period, during that day. So the thing is that literally you could buy GDAO at 8 a.m. and forget about market movement. The tokens themselves have gained intrinsic value before you go to bed that night. There is nothing else in this industry that I know of that does that. And I mean, we're doing it in a legitimate way, providing an actual service, a service that's owned by the DAO, the same people that are using the service, the same people that are utilizing the whitelist, etc. It's all just
Powerful.
a giant circle. And it's very interesting to look at, especially now that under this quote DAO micro lens, there's this weird microcosm kind of going on here, because in reality now the truth is that each person equally owns this right now, based on token allotment, as far as the tech and everything else. There probably will be a little bit of legal stuff on the back end as far as signing over the tech on paper, so that it's recognized as such. Maybe we're double checking on that, but short of anything fancy and just really for for show, I guess. There's no process currently that we need to transfer anything over. So now that we can combine those two things and show that ownership, that is something that is really, really cool, because you can go to Aragon, you can go to well, can't really go to Aragon, I guess, but you can go to any other DAO out there, or quote unquote DAO. Buy tokens exist. Maybe they even have a payment splitter that pays you and accumulates in the same way that we plan to, right? But at the end of the day, as of right now, I'd be very hard pressed if they were an actual, legal DAO that has legal ownership, that has legal protections, etc., and legal defined obligations, etc. So that's something that I think is kind of paramount and really first of its kind here.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of things building. Yeah, so does anybody have any other questions or thoughts around what's been happening here? I'm wondering how the proof of existence works.
It's hilarious. Jerry's here in the room right now, but yeah, he can't figure out how to turn his mic on, as always, because I see it's grayed out, just like every time I've ever tried to talk to him. So feel free to talk smack. Can't talk back. It's hilarious. Just noticed.
Yeah, so does anybody else have any other thoughts? I'm pretty much got everything on the table.
I think the only other major thing really to talk about is the geyser experience. That's pretty, so we're officially, I think, 8.5 days on with that, if I remember correctly.
What's the APY looking like?
Don't quote me on that. So that's hard. I can't answer that question because when I got in, so some weird alpha on this one. Jeff said, and I quote, "Oh yeah, 1,000 geysers the way to go." Well, 1,000 geysers like $200. So with minuscule funds I had at the time, and still, minuscule funds in general, I was like, whatever. Jeff said that's
like
how it works. I'm not going to ask
APY.
questions here. Yeah, it's going to multiply my APY. It was showing me like literally 4,000 times my APY or something ridiculous like that. So I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm all over this. So I bought 970 with like $200 worth of ETH. I loaded in there with my, keep in mind, I hold, I think, the least amount of GDAO out of the team, and most definitely the least amount of LP. So I have literally less than 3 LP.
3.58. I see it.
Okay, there you go. 3.58, right? And literally with that 3.58, I juiced it with 970 geyser. So I'm making like the same amount that Jerry will make with like 5 times the freaking LP. It's ridiculous. So but yeah, so the geyser stuff I think is really interesting. It's most definitely something that I'm really glad that we utilized, because it allows us to continue that same previous LP mining experience that and staking experience that people had before. We can continue to incentivize and pay it out. Now we can do it in a way that benefits holders primarily, and B, does a good job of weeding out the kind of bad apples. Guys are set up in a way that, due to the quote time lock, more and more of the amount that you have mined becomes available as the time goes on. So starting out at 25% and ending at 100 after day 90, in our case, logarithmically you end up there. So the thing is that, or actually technically not logarithmically, in a straight line, you pretty much end up there. So the thing is that, over a period of time, it incentivizes holding. So 90 days isn't a long period, but it pretty much ensures, for the most part, that I would make a guess and say that 99 out of 100 people that deposit will keep it there for the 90-day period. Because, I mean, who the heck wants 32% on day, 8 for me right now? of, this meager amount I've made already, because of the small amount I have. But even if you have a small, large amount, whatever,
Still gonna
if
wanna
you put
wait.
it here, you're trying to, you're justifying the gas and everything else you spent to get it here. You're trying to maximize that, for literally every day
Well, if you have
that
the
you
LP,
flip
you
out.
probably staked it for the 90 days in the original
Well,
LGE,
this is the way I look
and
at
then
it.
came in around
So,
for staked it for
well,
6
if you
months for that.
take out 5 days early, you're going to lose 4%. So why would you do that? It's like when that's 4% of what you currently have. Not only are you going to make 4%, 4 more days worth over those 4 days, but then you're also going to unlock a full 100% of what you currently have. So I mean, it works out really nicely. It incentivizes the holders. It makes it easy for people to still exit at any point and still make something and make a profit, which is really cool. So I mean, it does pretty much everything that we were looking for. I'm happy that Jeff kind of pioneered for that one. I wasn't overly well, it's the ones that I wasn't optimistic per se. It was more that I hadn't really heard much about it before. So after taking a look at it and everything, I was a little bit confused about stuff, hence why I deposited 970 geyser for less than 4 LP. But I'm making crazy rewards. That's all I gotta say. I think I'm making like 3,814% right now. Yeah, 3,874, so 3,874%. But that also is not very much. That's currently making me 5.68 a day. At once again less than 4 LP though. So it does pretty well for you as far as the APR. I think the current APR is what,
Like 200.
254. Yeah, I think this one was about 254. I know that someone got in earlier today with a good amount. I also saw her later in the day, so I would assume that went down a bit. But I mean, the way I see it is that the minimum amount on that, because we preloaded it with 80K or what, 50K,
80.
80K, 80K, yeah, 80,000 GDAO we preloaded it with. So based on that, it's just simple math based on the share and based on, the amount of geyser, if any, that you used, you could heavily, make out where, quote unquote, double up in some situations. In other situations, keep in mind that will be rare though. In most situations though, people can make from what I'm seeing based on the current numbers, anywhere from, because if you look at let's say 200%, we're doing this over a 90-day period. That's 1/4 of the year, right? So if you're looking at 200% APY
50%.
divided by 4, you're looking at 50%. So, if you were putting in $100 worth of LP, theoretically at the current rate, you would make $50 worth. But because of the gamification of it, the fact that as people continue to deposit, that will continue to go down slightly, as well as, be incentivized through geyser contributions, that can, move in different ways. But at the end of the day, it moves out to be equal, if not slightly better, in most cases than the previous LP mine. The only time it won't work out better is if you get into it significantly later. So I mean, at this point, the way I see it is it worked out great. I think that as of now, I haven't heard any bad remarks on it. I don't think any of the team members have heard any bad feedback on it. So unless anyone here's got something that I think it's gone pretty well.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good info. And thanks, Blank, for popping